Today's topic, international adoption. I'm so excited to be covering this adoption avenue today, and it's one that my husband and I hope to pursue one day. And so I've learned over the last few years that there is a global orphan crisis, and many of these children are in serious physical and emotional need. So to give you a few examples of that, they could be in the developing world where there might be food shortages. There are countries that have really high rates of street kids, or they may have a disability and be kept in a crib all day when they could be thriving with specialized care. And so according to UNICEF statistics, there are over 140 million orphans around the world, and that number grows daily. And so there's a real urgency for families to be willing to go to them. And my heart just breaks right now for all the families that are waiting to go to their kiddos but aren't able to because of the closed borders. And so if you have any questions at all about what it looks like to pursue international adoption within the COVID restrictions, just contact an international adoption agency and they should be able to answer all your questions. And I hope and pray that the information we're going to cover today may inspire you to start the international process yourself. So international adoptions are the most complicated type of adoptions, and the reason for that is they have more layers involved. So not only are you going to be working with your own country's federal immigration laws, but also your child's country of origin and the laws that they have. And so similar to private adoption, you're going to be working with an adoption agency, in this case, an international adoption agency within your own country. Before you decide which one to work with, you do have to think about what country you'd like to adopt from. And so do keep in mind that not every country allows foreigners to adopt from them. However, there are many that do. And so a good place to start is do your research on international adoption agencies near you and in your country. And each one typically has a couple countries that they work with and process adoptions through. And so if you are in Canada, you're going to look for one in your own province, and you'll be able to easily find what countries they adopt with. However, if you are in a province that doesn't even have any international adoption agencies, so for example Saskatchewan is one that doesn't, you're actually going to be working with your provincial adoption authority and then an international agency that is out of your province. Adoption requirements do vary from country to country, but the basic steps are very similar. And so once you get into contact with an agency, they'll be able to tell you if you are eligible to adopt from the countries that they work with. And then you'll get an information package explaining their adoption program and hopefully be able to move forward in the process. So they're going to be a really crucial role in your whole adoption process, as they're going to make sure that all the documentation and requirements are completed for the international process. And then as you're working with them, you're also going to hire what's called a private adoption practitioner, who's going to come into your home a number of times and walk you through the home study process. And so to get more details on that, just talk to your international agency and they should be able to make sure that you get connected with a certified adoption practitioner. Depending on the country you've selected, and once everything's completed to get you approved, you will hopefully be matched with a child from either a selection of photos, a number of applications that are kept at the agency, or a central registry that is actually maintained by your child's country of origin. Now, some countries do require that the adoption be finalized in the child's country, whereas others it's legal to complete it in your own country. And then also, sometimes it's required that you spend a certain amount of time in the country getting to know the child in their own culture, which I think is super special. Now, as far as the timeline goes, the home study itself could be completed anywhere from 3 months to a year, but the time that it takes for you to actually have the child home can actually be a couple of years. And again, this is something that varies so much depending on how quickly your application is submitted and the country that you're working with, but just be prepared that it could be quite a long wait, but obviously a great reward is at the end of that wait. And then another thing that varies quite a bit is the cost. And so again, depending on the country that you're working with and the amount of time that you spend abroad, an international adoption typically starts around 25,000 and goes up from there. So with that large number in mind, I'll take a minute to talk about financial help that's available for adoption. So there are tax exemptions for adoption. So when we went the private route, we were given a receipt with our home study from our practitioner that we then submitted with our taxes. So if you want more specifics on this, just contact your revenue agency and they'll be able to fill you in. Next, I want to introduce you to two awesome nonprofits, one for Canadian citizens that are adopting and the other for US citizens. So the first is ABBA Canada. So they are a Christian organization that gives grants to Christian Canadian families who are adopting. So the grants average around $4,000. And it's so easy to apply. You just simply attach your completed home study onto an online application and wait to hear from them. Next is for the US, and it is Reece's Rainbow. So I absolutely love their work. Basically, they have hundreds of children who have various special needs that are around the world and listed on their site. And so very generous people have given towards their adoption funds. So there are some children that have $0 with their profile, whereas others have up to $20,000. And then whoever adopts that child will receive that money to go towards their adoption fund. So Reece's Rainbow isn't an adoption agency themselves, but you'll see on each child's profile they have a little button that says inquire about how to adopt this child, and then they'll guide you from that point. So definitely check them out, and they're an awesome organization to support even if you're not adopting but would still like to be a part of this crucial work, or if you live somewhere else in the world and aren't adopting from the US. Finally, I know a lot of families will have great success in getting creative with different ways to fundraise. So for example, selling baked goods or t-shirts, or even making a GoFundMe page and sharing your story online to give people a chance to give. And so go to GoFundMe and check out other families' examples, and you'll be able to get an idea of what you could potentially do to raise that money. Whew, that was a lot of talking. Thank you so much for watching till the end, and if you have any more questions, don't hesitate to email me at 123letstalklife@gmail.com, and I'll see you soon. Bye!